Okay, so for full cab no comply, I wrote down a few points. Just like if like it's basically a scenario as if I really needed to relearn the trick for whatever reason if I lost it. These are kind of the steps that I would go through, and usually just the steps I go to warm up anyway. So something you're already doing, which is warming up with pivot to no comply 180, which is really good because obviously those are just the breakdown of a full cab no comply. So yeah, like definitely doing like a few of those before really getting into legit attempts of the trick can really help because then you can feel out the full rotation and like when you need to pop and stuff like that. The timing is pretty much the same as what a pivot to no comply 180 would be. Sometimes you end up popping a little earlier, sometimes a little later, but that's with like every trick. So like, yeah, don't stress about it too much. Just like do it whatever way feels comfortable, basically. All right, so for your next tip, it's to practice fakie frontside 360 pivots or spins into like a 540 spin as well. You don't have to get all the way up to 540. It just helps because it kind of like straightens out your body more and it feels a bit more natural, at least to me. But basically, what this will do is it will train your body to spin in that direction with the board and be able to control the board and your balance a little bit easier during that whole process. You don't have to master them. You don't have to get them like really good or anything. I just found that it helped me a ton, and that's actually how I unlocked full cab no comply. All right, so for the next tip, it's weight distribution. The weight distribution for this trick can get really weird because of all the like rotation, the stepping off, the popping, the scooping. There's so many variables. So basically, what I do for mine is I will put my weight just about in front of my front knee, sort of around like right there, not fully centered, not over my deck foot knee, but just behind my popping foot, basically. This gives you the most like leverage while you're pivoting, and it gives you enough balance to be able to execute the step off, the no comply step off, and jumping back on. Um, More of this will kind of be covered in the next tip because it heavily goes into the rest of the trick. The next tip, it's very heavily tied to the previous tip on weight distribution. Basically, all of the problems that happen with a full cab no comply happen due to weight distribution. So, like you were saying, with your wheels keep dropping to the ground, or for some people, their deck foot slips off the deck prematurely, or the popping tail is scraping too much on the ground, and you don't have enough leverage to be able to pop the no comply 180 part of the trick. Like, all of this is due to weight distribution, and some of it is due to foot positioning. But yeah, so first thing I want you to do is troubleshoot what's going on. So for what you told me, your wheels keep dropping to the ground. That's more of a problem with your deck foot because you're probably putting too much weight on the deck foot side, which is the safer place to put your weight. But the problem with that is then you don't have enough leverage and power in your popping foot to be able to execute everything all at once. So that's why I was saying it's very important to find that sweet spot of balance to where you can do all of your actions all in one go from that one balance spot. So for the last tip, and arguably the most simple, is to land toe side. So basically, the reasoning for this is because you're going in a front side direction. If you lean a little heel side, it's going to lean you into the rotation of your board, and you're going to lose control easier when you try to go for the pop and the scoop of the no comply, because basically your weight is going this way and you're popping and scooping your board in this direction, and so you're either going to just shoot your board off or you're going to have to chase your board down, and once you get onto your board you're not going to feel as stable. Whereas if you try and land in a toe side direction and you're leaning, basically you want to be leaning over your body, over your knees in this situation, and you're going to be able to land on top of that board way easier. And even if you need to carve out, it's going to be a much more stable, controlled carve out than it would be in the heel side direction because you're basically like falling in your heel side direction, if that makes sense. So just for the last few tips, number one, it's okay to land heel side. It's just not as stable as landing toe side. As you can see in the two clips there, I landed pretty heel side, and I still was pretty stable and fine. The goal realistically is to start your board straight and end your board straight, and toe side just helps with that, and it'll also, like I said earlier, set you up for more tricks after that to do in a line. The other thing, you can slow down this trick. It's basically one big trick. You don't have to think about it as like pivot, no comply. Like that's what a lot of people think these combo tricks are, including myself. I fall into that trap really quickly, and it's not like that at all. You can very much slow down this trick and do a very slow full cap no comply, still get nice pop, still get nice scoop, still land straight, like all these things. You can slow it down. So slowing down is a huge one. Make sure you're popping at 180. Like once your pivot reaches the 180 mark, that's when you pop. If you pop earlier, you're gonna end up again landing heel side, and it's gonna feel weird because you're going straight at first, and then you're gonna land and go heel side. Not very clean, not very satisfying of a land. And then the last thing is just foot position. I usually just like having the front foot in the middle, maybe a little higher up, just for that front side rotation, like the pivot. And for your back foot or your popping foot, I like to have it right above the front two bolts. Just gives you the most leverage of your tail, and you want to be leaning forward, like over your deck a little bit. This will help you land toe side because you're already leaning in toe side. Not enough to necessarily carve, but just like having your weight forward will help a ton.